Hi, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite shows on television. I never used to be like a huge TV person. Like I watch maybe a film or something and that's it. But now the TV shows these days, they just seem to be so good. So I have a few that I've really enjoyed in the last month or so, like from Christmas time. And two are from Netflix and two are from other platforms, Amazon and Now TV. But I'm going to talk about them today. So I'll start with the ones on Netflix. The first one is Jaime Virgin.
Our story begins 13 and a half years ago, when Jane Gloriana Villanueva was a mere 10 years old. It should be noted that at a mere 10 years old, Jane's passions include, in no particular order, her family, God, and grilled cheese sandwiches.
Mira la flor que tienes en tu mano, Jane.
This is Jane's grandmother, Alba Gloriana Villanueva. Her passions include God and Jane, in that particular order.
Mira qué tan perfecta es, qué tan pura. Ahora, mija, estrújala en tus manos.
Really, Mom? But this is so late.
Jaime Virgin has been on Netflix for a while now, but I never actually I never watched it or anything. I think I saw maybe an article online or something, and that was what made me say, oh, let me just check it out. And then I got drawn into the story. So Jane the Virgin, why it's called Jane the Virgin in the first place is that Jane is a virgin. She made a decision that she was never going to have sex before marriage, and it was a promise she made with her grandmother because her grandma is Catholic and she has strong feelings about that. So Jane gets mistakenly artificially inseminated when she goes for a doctor's appointment because the doctor had a lot going on in her mind, and she just mistakenly took Jane for another patient and conducted the artificial insemination. So the story is about Jane's life coming to terms with a pregnancy that she didn't plan for, having a child for another man, and also the fact that she's a virgin. So it gets interesting because like Jane says she's a virgin, but she's actually pregnant. So a pregnant virgin, and the only person we all know was ever a pregnant virgin was the Blessed Virgin Mary. So Jane is Latino as well, so from a Latino family, and her family, they have like this interesting dynamic and they're just fun to watch. Generally, I just really like the story. It's full of romance, family relationships, and it's just a great show to watch. Like anytime I just want something relaxing to watch, I put it on. Currently it's about 4 seasons long on Netflix, and I finished it in like 4 weeks, and now they've just been releasing like a new episode in season 4 every week, which I find quite annoying because you can't just like binge watch everything. Now you have to wait for a new episode every Saturday, but it's okay, I'm willing to wait. So Jane the Virgin is one of my favorite shows on Netflix. And then the second one, which I finished, was The People versus O.J. Simpson. It's different from Jane the Virgin. So if you're familiar with O.J. Simpson's story, is about he was accused of killing his ex-wife and her friend, and because the reason why he was accused of it was because he'd previously like abused her sexually, like domestic violence when they were together. So, and his blood and hair samples were found at the location of the murder. So it was like, who could be the killer? It has to be OJ. So it follows the trial. I really loved the casting, like the person who played OJ's lawyer, the side, so it was the people versus OJ Simpson, the lawyers on the side of the people, and the jury. Everything was just, it was just really good. And there were 10 episodes, and I just loved the whole thing. Like sometimes I wonder, are criminal cases as interesting as this? And although the O.J. Simpson, it's a true life story, so it all happened in 1994/1995, which was around the time when I was born. So of course it's not something I knew about. But while watching, I went on Wikipedia, Googling the whole story, just to see whether everything was real. And I got to know a little bit about, the Kardashians. So Robert Kardashian, the father of the Kim Kardashian, all of them, he happens to be O.J. Simpson's best friend, and he was also on one of O.J. Simpson's lawyers. And he was quite troubled about the fact that there was a lot of evidence that showed that O.J. was the killer. So although he was on O.J.'s side, he just doubted if O.J. wasn't guilty. So he doubted if OJ was innocent, but he couldn't come out and say, you know what, I'm not OJ's lawyer anymore, because if he does that, that's the end. Like that means OJ would definitely be convicted. So it was just, I loved the whole thing. From following the lawyers, everything they did was amazing. Look at the fact of the lawyers. So although the case was about O.J. Simpson, the next thing the media starts following like the lawyers' private lives. So the lawyer on the side of the people, she was a lady, and there was a lot of people accused saying she doesn't do her hair nicely. Like people looking at her personal life, like her former husband puts some topless photos on her to like so give them to the media to discredit her. So there's a lot going on. It's not just about O.J. Simpson, but it's also about the lawyers and what they do to convince the court that, on the side of the people, to convince the court that O.J. is guilty, and on the side of O.J. Simpson's lawyers trying to convince the court that O.J. isn't guilty. And the other part that I liked was when they showed how the jury, so the opinions of the jury who were going to decide if O.J. was guilty or not. And the jury, when they were selected, they were so excited, like, oh my gosh, they're putting us in this amazing, like, 5 luxurious hotel. But then when the trial started going on for so long, and because when they're in the hotel, they can't like watch normal TV like everyone, they can't go about their business, so they're like stuck. It's like being in a prison but being in a hotel. And the next thing, they started getting frustrated about the whole process. And also we got to see like the voting process with the jury trying to decide on whether O.J. was guilty or not, and how the media followed the case. It was one of like the most public criminal cases that involves a celebrity that everyone followed internationally. So I would definitely recommend, if you're interested in like criminal cases or crime stories, O.J. Simpson, People vs. O.J. Simpson is definitely a great show to watch. And moving on to other shows outside of Netflix, so I subscribed to Amazon Prime for a month to just test a few things, and then one of the shows I found to watch on Amazon was This Is Us. So I've been seeing people tweeting about This Is Us for a while, so I said let me check it. I watched the trailer. I didn't really get like the whole story, like to know what was happening, but I just tried it and watched a couple of episodes and got into the story. So This Is Us is a story about a family, and the family the couple played by Mandy Moore and I think Milo Ventimiglia or something, and the two of them, so the wife is pregnant with 3 children, with triplets. So then when she delivers the baby, she loses one of the children, because having triplets is like a high risk pregnancy. So she loses one of the children, so she gives birth to just 2. But they made arrangements for triplets, so it was very like sad for them, like, oh, you know, we thought we're going home with 3 babies and now we're going home with 2. So while the husband was looking at the ward, a baby comes in that's dropped off by, I think, the police or a fireman or something, and he says, oh, you know, this baby was abandoned. So the baby happened to be a black baby, a black boy, little baby boy, and they decide to adopt the child. So they raised 3 children in the end. So there are 2 biological children, and the 3rd child being the black little baby boy. And the story looks at how like the parents, for example, like interracial adoption, what's that like? When you have your own biological children, how do you relate to a child that's adopted? How do you treat that child like your own, so the child doesn't feel like they don't belong? And then the way the show is it flips through both sides. So it flips through the side of when the triplets were growing up when they were little, and then also now their adult life. And so we get to see how the triplets even related. Like, for example, the biological twins, one is a boy, one is a girl. So their biological son didn't really get along with his adopted brother. They didn't really like each other, and then you get to see like when they're adults, they're a bit closer, and how different they are in their adult life. That even though they grew up in the same household, they're still very different. They all have different careers. One is an actor, and then the black adopted baby grows up to be a trader on Wall Street. So you're looking at their different lives and their struggles, their challenges as adults. Like one of the triplets, so the girl, she's struggling with like weight issues, so trying to lose weight, and it's just a really moving story. Apparently people were brought to tears while watching it, because there's sad parts, there's happy parts. I didn't cry anyway, I don't know why, but it's a really good show. I can't wait to watch season 2, because I've only watched season 1, and I would definitely recommend it. I think you'll find it on iTunes or Amazon Prime. So that's that one. And then the final one is Blackish. Blackish has been out for a while, but I only got like subscription for Now TV last year. So I started watching Blackish. It's also available to watch on Amazon Prime as well. So Blackish is about a wealthy African American family. So the husband, he grew up in a poorer, like low income African American family, but he does well for himself, so he's wealthy now. And just their life raising up their kids and how they want their children to be black but are not blackish. So there's some episodes that really struck with me. The thing about Blackish is you don't have to watch it like one episode after the other. You can watch individual episodes anyhow you want. So it's not like a continuous story that you have to follow through. So one of the episodes that I really liked was one where their neighbors were always having pool parties and they would never invite the Johnsons. So the Johnsons are the black family and they lived like in a wealthy white neighborhood. They would never invite the Johnsons. So finally once Dre Johnson, who is the father, he goes to meet the neighbor like, why is it that you don't invite us and everything. So she finally invites them, and then Dre Johnson looks at her like he can't swim, but he was trying to learn how to swim but he still couldn't, and then in the end he still went to the pool party and tried to like form that he could go in the pool and swim, and how that ends up for him. And then in the beginning of the show they talk about the fact that for a lot of black people, because they say all black people can't swim, but do we look at like the history of why we can't swim? So like for African Americans, number one, they were slaves. They don't have time to be doing things like leisurely things like going to a swimming pool and swimming. And number two, by the time when African Americans were free, so they were no longer slaves, there was still like discrimination. So let's say some pools were blocked that black people can't use this swimming pool. I can't remember who the celebrity was that they mentioned in the show that she dipped her foot in a swimming pool and they had to drain, she was black and they had to drain the whole pool just because a black actress or singer, I can't remember, dipped her foot in a pool. So that episode I really liked. And then another episode that I liked, I recently watched that one, it was one where they hire a black nanny. So Joy Johnson's wife is Rainbow Johnson, she's a doctor and she's played by Tracy Ellis Ross. And at some point she says, oh my gosh, like it's so stressful looking after the children, let's hire a nanny. Dre was like, no nanny. In the end she arranges interviews for nannies and everything, and they finally hire one who is black. They hire a black nanny who played by Regina Hall. And so it was like about what was like having, so black people used to be the help now, and then now they're hiring helps. And so the relationship between the nanny and the family, because the nanny is from like a lower income household, and then she came to work for the Johnsons and she'll see the Johnsons like drinking the $6 coffee, or let's say buying trainers that are $1,500, or the fact that Dre had like an S-Class Mercedes and a Mercedes G-Wagon, and she's just like, wow, you have all these things. So at some point Dre starts to feel guilty, like the nanny looks at them as this wealthy family, but towards the end they're able to like make a relationship that is very professional and is less like personal, like they make things firmer in terms of their relationship with the nanny. I like that episode as well. So those are my two favorites. So in general, I can't say which one I like best, but they're all amazing in different ways. So The People vs. O.J. Simpson if you like crime, Jaime Virgin if you just want something fun to watch, and then This Is Us if you want something emotional to watch, and Blackish as well as for fun. So I watch all of them, and I would definitely recommend all 4 of them. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.